C-Topher.
C-Topher Central.
Listen.
C-Topher
C-Topher.
Listen. C-Topher Central.
C-Topher
Central.
Listen.
C-Topher Central.
C-Topher Central. It's the place to be. So enjoy yourself, why don't you? I hope everybody's having a great day. First of all, before I get too far into the episode, how'd you like that intro? Now, be honest, it was a little weird, okay? A little monotone acapella. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. It was probably desync that moment, that's fine. I'm experimenting, okay? Give me grace. Give me grace. I'm experimenting. I can't do the same thing every single time because that gets old and boring. But I suppose if I do it for long enough, I need to give it the foundation so that it becomes iconic and popular. And then it becomes old and boring. So, I mean, I don't know. But either way, I'm just trying new things, okay? I'm trying new things. And I think it's what we all should do. You know, be willing to be uncomfortable and brave the unknown and be courageous. Courage isn't just not being afraid. It's doing something knowing that it's not going to be comfortable. For example, that intro. Haha, bada bing. Yeah, it was anyway, I'm spending too much time on the intro. We are past the intro. We are now in the episode. Greetings and salutations, people. Welcome back to episode 9. I'm glad to have you with us today. And by us, I mean the royal us. It's really just me in my recording closet. Oops, I said too much. But yeah, it's just me and you today. So, today's episode, as you could tell by the title, it's meant for a special someone. Not romantic. Platonic special someone. My best friend, in fact. You see, at the time of this recording, it has been a month and some change past his birthday. That's my fault entirely. And truth be told, I actually wanted to have this episode done about a month and some change prior to today. But hey, you know, life has this funny thing of not working out the way you want it to all the time. And sometimes you just don't know what to say. Sometimes you don't know how to handle things. Sometimes you have more important things to deal with. And a lot of times you just forget. And so, yeah. Woohoo, it's here now, right? Better late than never, right? Right. All right, anyway. But yeah, this was my plan for a while now. It's just everything else got shifted back, so it's whatever. But yes, today's episode is dedicated straight to my best friend. And so usually when I do these episodes, I have notes prepared, not a script, because that wouldn't work well. But I have at least the general topics written on a note card or something somewhere. I have a flow. But today, nothing, not a zip. No notes, no preparation. Okay, well, there's mental preparation, but no physical preparation other than me trying to get that intro, and which I know was a little choppy, but just experiment with me, okay? Anyway, it's an acquired taste. You'll like it after the 7th time listening to it. But anyway, enough of the intro to the episode. Now, my best friend, right? I'm not gonna dox him. So I think he would kill me, and his parents probably. So I'm going to refer to him as best friend. That's lame. I can think of a better name than that. Let's see. Let's go with Buddy Bro. I like that, Buddy Bro. The 2 B's. We'll go with Buddy Bro. So that's his name. Now, I was thinking about how I should do this episode. Should it be a long thank you? Should it be stories? Should it be me talking to him directly, even though he's not here, but he will listen to this eventually? How should I do that? Oh, I know, I'll just do stories. But what kind of stories? Well, you see, he and I, we've grown up together since birth. I was 4 months older What do you mean was? I am 4 months older, and I always have been. And I was at the hospital when he was born because I'm cool like that. And so for all of his life, I was there from the very beginning. And so I think I'm gonna do it this way. I am going to tell the general progression of our relationship from birth to now. I'm not gonna go into nitty-gritty details here and there, but I will touch on occasional big stories that happen at different, we'll say, plot points in our chronological time span of our relationship. That's what we're gonna do today. Awesome sauce. See, this is how you plan stuff. You just flow and then things flow more. And I don't have notes on purpose because I'm so familiar with this guy. And honestly, I have so much to say because it's literally my life that I don't really need notes to prepare. And it's just stories. So today's a story day. So sit back, relax. You should always do that when you listen, but unless you're working. But today, just do whatever. I'm just gonna be talking to you about stories. Nothing too insightful, but should be entertaining nonetheless. So let's jump right into things. Let's jump right into it. Now, first thing, going back to us being born around the same time. Well, I was born earlier, but who's counting? And nothing really happened in those 4 months. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm just gonna say that we were born around the same time. And starting from there. So we grew up and we were always at each other's houses. Our parents were close, so everybody was just kind of, one big group type thing situation, right? Now, funny thing, when I was growing up, I referred to his mom as Aunt, and then Aunt her name, which then meant that to me and him, we were cousins. And hey, we grew up together, so not hard to believe that, considering that, we've just always been around and, aunt, uncle, yada, 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 right? I am jumping ahead in the timeline here, but I will say that it wasn't until, I don't know how old, we were, my gut is telling me 10, 11, 12 that time. That is what my gut is telling me. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that, and if I'm wrong, he'll fact check me later. But I won't tell you guys, so you're just gonna have to ask me, but you won't care. Anyway, so around 10, 11, 12, I found out that we weren't actually cousins. That hurt. That really hurt. It didn't change our friendship, but it did certainly sting not knowing now that we weren't actually related like that. But it was whatever. My mom told me, and she explained how all throughout high school, her and his mom, they were friends since then, and then they grew up together, and then they stayed together with they stayed in contact and stuff. And so when, she had her kid and then my mom had me, everybody was just together. So it was a matter of, we said aunt because we were so close that we essentially were family. Which, okay, that was fine. I liked that explanation. It made sense, and it's still, who cares? It doesn't change anything. So about was it like a month or so after I found out, because I didn't really think much of it after the conversation, I told him that we actually weren't related. And at first he, thought I was just joking and being stupid. He's like, okay, that's very funny, right? And then I realized that his parents did not have the same conversation with him. And unfortunately for him, his father was in the car, because we were I remember this now. It's all coming back. We were at the line, we were in the drive-through line for Wendy's. And we had just ordered, so we were pulling around the window. And his dad was, driving. And it was just me, him, and his dad. And I went to his dad for confirmation because, he's accusing me of lying. And I'm like, no, I'm telling the truth. Yeah, we aren't related. And his dad just kept forward on the wheel and just said, yeah, he's right. And then I tell you, this poor boy, his whole face, man, it's gonna be really hard to encapsulate the sorrow on that man's face with words, but I will try. He looked so distraught, his cheeks and his mouth gaping open. It was sorrow to the highest intensity. His eyes immediately started watering, and he was like, "What?" His whole reality was just shifted and broken. And then I probably should have led with this in retrospect, but I was, while he was going through it, I started explaining the story that I was told to him. And I thought it'll make everything better, because once he understands, like, we're not actually family, but we're essentially family, then he'll feel better. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Yeah, he started crying. He had a meltdown. Which, I'm sorry to put you on blast like this, but yeah, it was a little hard drive through the Wendy's. We got our food left, and then he went to his mom when we got back to his house, and his mom confirmed the same thing and told him the same story and everything. So it was, I don't know. I looking back on it, I could have totally delivered the news a lot better than how I did, but yeah, so that's that. But anyway, getting back to the beginning, going back in order now, we go back to birth. He was born, I was there. Yippee-ki-yay. Next thing, schooling. Let's see. He went to his own school for like kindergarten, first. Did he go third? Yeah, for kindergarten through second grade, he went to his own school, and I went to my own school, which this episode is not about my elementary school experience. I totally could do a whole episode about that. In fact, I've given myself that idea. I'm going to do that later. Write that down.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now then, yeah, so we went to separate schools. Around third grade, again, he'll fact check me. Nope, I know it was third grade. Around third grade, he came over to my school because of situations at his place, and it was just better that he was with me. So we were at the same school, and that was not the beginning, but rather, well, it was the beginning of something, but it was the establishment of our great academic bond. Now you see, at school, I will touch a little bit on it. I didn't have a lot of friends in elementary school. I didn't. I was the teacher's pet, smart nerd. I liked doing homework. Everything's easy. You all are dumb type kid. I didn't say that about people, but I guarantee you I've had about more than half of those days at that school thinking those thoughts. Not because I tried to be the arrogant Melvin Sneedley type of kid, if you know who he is, then good job, but it was just that everything was just very natural and simple in elementary school. And so I just kind of didn't do well socially, but I excelled academically. I like to joke to myself that I single-handedly funded the entire school with my test scores. But that's another story. That's again another story. So anyway, I didn't have a lot of friends. That's the main piece here. I didn't have a lot of friends. I can count on one hand the amount of solid, or at least, we'll say, impactful friends that I've had from kindergarten to fifth grade. No, to kindergarten to fourth grade. That's about maybe 5. About 4 or 5 total. From kindergarten to fourth. About 5 good friends, maybe 5. So I didn't have a lot of friends. And so with Buddy Bro coming over, right, I had someone to hang out with. I had someone to talk to, someone who understood me, because, we hang out outside of school, and then now we hang out inside of school. I have somebody to talk to about other people, but not in like a gossipy, did you hear what they said, or blah, 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 but in a, do you know about so-and-so? Yeah, aren't they cool? Yeah, they're cool. Or no, they're not cool. Oh, okay. And he and I were unfortunately in different classes, which I believe, looking back on this, because mind you, I didn't tell him, we didn't know that we weren't related yet. So we often like to tell people that we were related and just like flex that knowledge because, you know, ooh, my cousin goes here. It's cool. But I think because of that information, we were never placed in the same class, unfortunately. But I don't know. So, yeah, he had insight about his class and I had insight about my class, and we would like to exchange information with people and whatnot, and it'd be kind of cool, just kind of like explore the new worlds and be like, oh, your class is really cool and fun, right? Now, recess. Ooh-wee, recess. Let me tell you, recess. Recess is where it went down, man. And I tell you, you can ask about anybody, and they'll tell you they've had some sort of interesting experience in elementary school recess time. I'm telling you, recess, ooh-wee. Now then, like I said, we were in different classes, and so we didn't get to see each other throughout the day. However, during recess, all of the people in the same grade, so like all the first graders, all the kindergartners, all the third graders, right, everybody in the same grade would have recess at the same time, which was glorious because it meant that I had the opportunity to, you know, kind of debrief throughout the day and whatnot. Because I remember before he arrived, recess was okay, you know, it was okay. Just kind of run around, play on the stuff, play tag, get chased by people, yada, yada, yada. But now that I had him with me during recess, the recess time felt like it had a purpose. There was a sense of like, I wouldn't say urgency, but rather like overall activity. There was like a sense of missionness. That's a word now. Yeah, I don't know how to really put it, but it just, recess got more interesting with him around. Everything had more prevalence. There we go. And see, he was the social guy. He made up where I lacked. And so I had the brains, he had the street smarts at the time. And so for me and the general student body of the school at the time, they understood that I wasn't socially adept and they would take advantage of that sometimes, but he wouldn't let that happen. And or he would explain to me what they're doing and then I understand it. Or, get this, I'd be hanging around with him, and then because they like him, they would like me by association, or at least tolerate me by association, or at least put up with me, however you want to put it. But either way, because I was with him, everybody was cool. Everything was cool and great, and I helped with homework and whatever else was needed. So we were a dynamic duo, and this type of relationship continues on through further years, academically speaking, but we will get there when we get there. Now, next big chunk of time, or rather, yeah, it's still the next big chunk of time. Maybe, yeah, same time period, different setting. So, outside of school, right? Like I said, we hang out and stuff, right? Now, if you don't know, I was raised in church, and at my church there were a lot of other kids. So, I would be at church a lot because my dad's the pastor, and all the kids know me because my dad's the pastor. And so sometimes our church at the time would have like little events. We'd go to the park and hang out and do whatever, go to somebody's house and hang out and do whatever. And then he'd be there. Sometimes he would be like a guest star. It was kind of funny seeing how people interacted with him, mainly the kids, whenever he came by with us to church. They treated him like a celebrity. You know, he was just like, oh my gosh, that's Chris's friend that he always talks about. He's here. And then he'd be a little shy, a little awkward, and be like, hi. And they'd fawn over him. And, you know, he'd be working his charisma and his cool social skills, and they would like him, and he'd be all cool and stuff. And it was cool. It was a cool dynamic. It was a cool time. Now, sometimes, you know, it was a little overwhelming at times, the sheer number of people and or the different personalities and having to interact with everybody. It got a little hard for everybody at times, and you did a good job at managing that. And there were certainly people that were more chill, like us. I don't say that like I'm better than everybody else. Don't hear that. I'm not saying that that we were better than them. It was just a matter of we overall had more of a relaxed dynamic when we were together, and that dynamic would sometimes set the rest of the mood in the room. if that makes sense. And there were other people who also caught on to that and did the same thing. So I think that was also very nice. So those were, we'll call the golden days. Maybe. Or we'll say it's the start of the golden days. Let's see, beyond that, oh, yes, video games, of course. The start of that as well. Now, growing up, right around this time, let's see, I was 5. I was 5 when I got my very first, was it my first? Yeah, we'll say it's my first. My first, gaming console. It was the Wii. Wii! And my first game that I ever played on my first ever gaming console was New Super Mario Brothers Wii. Am I allowed to say that? I don't understand the rules about saying stuff and getting copyrighted. I just said the title, it's fine. It was that game. I had a whole episode about this. Of course I can say this. I had a whole episode about it. But yeah, that was my first game. And if you remember in episode, what episode was that? It was 6 or 7? 6. No, it was 7. Episode 7. I was scared of Mario. I was scared of that game. I was horrified of playing it. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. It was terrible. I was gonna die. Holy cow. Poor Mario. Right? Well, when he came over, this was around the time of which I got over that fear. But video games certainly brought us together. It brought us together as an activity of bonding. It helped us, build our motor skills and hand-eye coordination, all the cool things that video games do that nobody talks about. And, it just gave us more conversational points. And we would play Mario all the time. Ooh, I get to be player 1. Ooh, I hate being player 1. I don't want to be player 1. I want to be Toad. Okay. And sometimes I remember I would always let him be player 1 because I just don't want to be Mario. I'd rather be one of the other characters. And then he caught on to that and he didn't want to be Mario. So we would make his sister Mario, and then we get to be like Luigi or the other Toads. And I don't know. It was, yeah, that's it's the start. It's the start of everything great. And from there, we play a lot of other video games. I personally have never owned a console outside of anything owned by Nintendo. Well, that's not true. I did have a DS. It was what kind of DS was it? I don't remember, but it had Sonic games on it. And so, I don't know. I don't think it was a Nintendo DS. But then again, I don't know. I just don't know, okay? You got me. I don't know. But I had a DS. But that's not relevant. Actually, it is relevant. Not really. No, it's not relevant for the story. That's a different story. But, yeah. So anyway, I've only had Nintendo stuff. He, on the other hand, has had, I think, he's had a PlayStation. He also had an Xbox. He had the other consoles that I didn't have. And so, whenever I went to his house, we'd play very different kinds of games. He also had a Wii. And so, we'd play similar games as well, but he had different, actual games. He had, this Lego Batman thing, Lego DC. It was one of the Lego Batman games. One of my favorites. Oh, the nostalgia's hitting me. I miss those days. And at his grandparents' house, they also had some of the older consoles, like a Super Nintendo and his NES and all the other cool, still Nintendo consoles that I didn't have at the time. And so I liked going to his house or his grandparents' house just to experience different kinds of games. But primarily at his house, he had a PlayStation. And he had all these games on his PlayStation, of which primarily Sonic. And he didn't let me play some of them. You know why? Because he didn't want me to ruin his progress. That's what he said. I was trying to play Sonic Unleashed. And he said, no, you can't play that game because it's a quote-unquote bad game. And I was like, what? It's a bad game? I can't let you decide that the game is bad for me when I haven't even played the game yet. But no matter, he never let me play it, and so that's sad. But I looked at a video of it. I'm okay. I'm okay. Let's see what else. Oh, he also had this game. This is good right here. Sly Cooper. I forgot the rest of the title, but it was Sly Cooper. It was about this raccoon. Frankly, I don't even know what the plot of the game is. I've never played the story. You're gonna have to ask him if you ever know if you ever see him or know him. But I don't know what the plot of the story is because I never played the plot of the story. Same reason before, I dumbass with my progress. But in the game, Sly Cooper, there's like a multiplayer mini game. It's called Cops and Robbers. From what I do understand, Sly Cooper is a raccoon who is a thief, and he's a sly raccoon. It's in the name. I think his name is Sly, but or Cooper. Stupid. One of the two. And basically, in Cops and Robbers, you have two players. One is the cop and one is the robber. The cop's job is to catch him. And the robber's job is to collect 3. Shoot, what was the I forgot the goal. It was either to avoid being caught. Well, certainly that. But it's either avoid being caught for a certain time or collect all the things you need to steal. And then whoever does that first, best of 3, wins the whole thing. I don't remember. That hurts. I wish I remembered it in more detail. That is really sad. It's whatever. But that was the game, right? And there was also another one. It was like a battleship thing. You're like those old war boats like the Greeks and the Romans used to do, where they would have a boat and they have cannons on the side. And you gotta turn to the side and then shoot the cannons at the other boats, and it's like the sea ocean warfare. That was also a game on Sly Cooper, one of those two. Those 2 mini games, let me tell you, ooh-wee, that's all we played, back and forth. Me, him, and his sister. We'd all play, the 3 of us. Whoever lost would switch. And hey, as the gaming consoles evolved, from the Wii to the Wii U to the Switch, same thing. It was just, we all play games, and we just play games for hours and hours. PlayStation 2, etc. It all develops. We play a lot of Injustice. We play a lot of Smash Bros. We played a lot of Nintendo Land. Ooh-wee. Now, I know me personally, I played Nintendo Land with about everybody on this planet. All of my family played Nintendo Land. Well, not my dad and my mom, but my cousins and everybody else. My uncle. Everybody played Nintendo Land. So I got a big dose of Nintendo Land. And a lot of Smash Bros. Too. We still play Smash Bros. To this day. In fact, at the time of this recording, or rather the day of this recording, we literally got off the phone and we were playing Smash Bros. So yeah, we've been playing Smash Bros. Since it came out on the Wii U. That is. Did it come out? Since it came out? Yes, it came out. Yeah, since it came out on the Wii U. Yep. Actually, remember when I got my first Wii U, it came with Smash Bros. Pre-installed on it, and Splatoon. But yeah, again, separate story. So yeah, that's a sneak peek. Not a sneak peek, but the general summary of our gaming relation aspect over the years. Now, in terms of let's see, some key fun stories. Let's see. Okay, this one sticks out to me. When we were younger, elementary school, he was enrolled in karate class. Now you see, I didn't do all that. I didn't do all that. I was physical in gym class. Yeah, you can attest. Dodgeball all day. Foursquare at recess. I was a physical guy, don't get me wrong. I like the physical stuff. Two-hand touch football? Count me in. Karate class? I don't know. Didn't matter though. See, what happened was, one day, he and his mom had to pick me up because my parents were not available to pick me up for that day. And so, it's not the first time that happens. There have been a lot of times in which I just go home with him and we just hang out and spend the night and do that. And yeah, which, side note, we spent the night a lot. So I was very used to just going home with him and doing whatever, right? Well, today was different because instead of going home with him and probably playing Injustice and then losing, it was different. Today was karate class. Now, as we were driving to the dojo and we were, getting prepared mentally, I was sitting there all comfortable and cozy thinking, man, I'm so glad that I don't have to do this because I didn't sign up for karate class. Tell me why, tell me how I ended up doing stuff I don't remember. I don't remember why I was there, doing things and partaking in the class. Probably because I just could. Probably because his mom made me. Probably because I had nothing else to do and I couldn't sit in the lobby and wait. I have no idea why, but I found myself out there on the dojo doing the dojo things. I wasn't a part of the class. I didn't sign up for it, but whatever. And so I was out there doing my little crane kicks. You lift one knee up and then you jump and kick with the other foot on the ground. You practice your form and your punches in case something happens. You play chicken on the mat. You have one person on top of the other and they're playing chicken. All of this crazy stuff. And I mean, it's not crazy in retrospect, but it was certainly crazy for me at the time because I didn't sign up for any of it and I didn't want to do it. And I was sweating buckets. I tell you, it was one of the most physically intense things I've ever done in my life. Looking back on it, if I did that now with my current physique, it would have been light work. It would have been an easy snack. It would have been nothing more than a simple exercise routine. I wouldn't even been that tired. I would have mopped the floor with all of those kids and chicken. I tell you, my form would have been impeccable. But the problem is, I am not young me anymore. And if I were to try karate again, I unfortunately would probably not get placed in that class. I'd probably get put with the bigger kids doing more actual intense things. But either way, that was big for me because I wasn't prepared for it, number one. Number two, it made me work. I was working up a storm. I was sweating. I stunk. I was a little kid too, so I didn't really go through puberty and stuff yet, so I don't know why I stunk so much, but yeah, I stunk. I was sweaty, my face, everywhere I touched, it was just moist and wet. I never sweat that hard before. I remember walking out feeling incredibly dissatisfied. I thought I would feel like a change of heart, where it's like, oh, this sucks, it's gonna get better. And then I find the appreciation for it, and then I go away thinking, you know what, that was kind of cool, I'm glad I did that. I didn't feel that feeling. I've never felt that feeling looking back on it. It's always been just a holy cow, that was a hurdle to go through. And I've had zero reason to apply the karate skills that I've learned from that day. Even with that crane kick thing, okay, cool, crane kick, but tell me how often I need to crane kick somebody, it's not gonna happen. And I guess that's the point of karate, as they say. You learn the art so you don't have to use it, but this was different. This was different. And he was tired too. It's karate, you don't just sit around all day. He was tired too, but he handled it better. And, I guess he did sign up for it, and it probably wasn't his first class. I'm trying to remember how long he's been going before. I went that one day. I don't remember if it was like a month or so, maybe 3. Again, he'll fact check me on this. But, yeah, it was a heck of a day. And then after that, then we went home, and then we played video games. And I remember I was sitting there talking while we were playing about, the experience as a whole. It was certainly something I've never dealt with before, but yeah, that's a little fun thing. Now, second little fun thing. This thing's a little longer than a little thing. I'm saying a lot of the same words. Work with me here. Now, context. When I was younger, my parents wouldn't let me play the games like Fortnite, the shooting games, the quote-unquote cause kids to go violent games, right? Stuff like that. Now, younger me, I didn't really care about those games anyway, because I was more of the, let me play Animal Crossing, let me play Mario. I'm content with my Punch-Out, and that's all the violence I need, I wasn't one of those, I need to play Fortnite kids. that wasn't until I saw Buddy Bro over here playing Fortnite. And then it was life changing because it looked so cool. I was like, whoa! And like the graphics were cartoony, so it wasn't like a bloody gory game. And it was beautiful. And he made it look so fun and easy. And mind you, most people will agree with me here, but this was when Fortnite was in its prime. So everything was like good, and stuff, and it was like a cool game. And I remember he really, really, really wanted me to play with him. But I told him I couldn't over and over again because my parents said that I couldn't play Fortnite. And if you know me, I'm a man of instruction, I follow the rules. And I follow the rules that I'm given. So, even at his house, no one would know. I knew. So I didn't play. And I remember one day, it kind of sparked everything. He had to go to the bathroom. He was playing. And so he gave me the remote and said, play for me. But I was like, I can't. But he was already out the room. So I just stood there with the remote in my hand. And I decided to be a little rebellious. I moved the joystick in a circle. Whoa, whoa now. Careful, Chris. Can't do too much. Can't be doing too much now. Can't be doing too much. But yeah, I moved the joystick in a circle and I jumped. And that was all I needed. I was like, holy cow, this game is so easy. I didn't even do anything. But still, and he came back. I gave him back the remote and I watched him play the rest of the game. It was all, I was hooked. I liked the physics of walking in a circle and jumping. And I mean, the rest of the buds, I had no idea what was happening. He was building. He was a good builder. I didn't know what in the world I was looking at. Still kind of don't to this day. Yeah, but it's whatever. So he was one of those kids. He wasn't a sweat, but he was like, he could hold his own. I'll say it that way. He could hold his own. So, after continual efforts, please, can Chris play Fortnite, please? And then she was like, no. And then a part of it came not because of like the blood and gore and stuff, because there isn't any. And she saw it. For her, it was a matter of online safety, which is valid. I mean, hey, you can't argue with safety. People are like, oh, you're playing with strangers? Oh, I don't want strangers interacting with my son. They're gonna steal his IP address and find out his social security number and all this mess. And it's like, okay, well, the thing is they're not gonna do that. And yeah, it happens to people, but the thing is, a lot of things happen to people all the time. I go to school, but people die at school. So does that mean you're gonna stop taking me to school? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, life happens and whatnot. So to me, it wasn't a concern. Not a concern, but it didn't. It felt more like a move of cowardice than a legitimate reason to not play a game, especially seeing that he could play the game. And that was the thing. If he could do it, then maybe I could do it too. I'm older here. You know what I'm saying? It's a matter of maturity, though. And I knew that I was a very sensitive child when I was younger, emotionally, and like everything made me feel. I was a very feeling boy. I really felt things. I really internalized a lot of stuff. And so my parents knew that about me. And so, yeah, side tangent. When I was really, really, really young, it's a little embarrassing. I'm actually kind of mad about this. I had a nightmare. I wouldn't even call it a nightmare, but I had a dream about the ghost in Mario, like the boos. I had a dream about them. It wasn't even a nightmare. It was just they were there, and it was about them, and that was the dream. I went to my parents, and I foolishly told them that I had a nightmare. I used the word nightmare, and I messed up in that moment, and I caught myself too because there was no going back after I said the word nightmare. Now, lucky for me, I didn't say what about. I just said, hey, Mom, I had a nightmare, and I caught myself. Now, here's where the key changes. If I tell them what I really had a nightmare about, then that means that she's probably going to take action against that thing, and I won't be able to play Mario. And I loved Mario, and, that's stupid. So what did I do? I lied. I know, I just said I was a rule follower, but I lied. Not about following the rules, but about this. because it wasn't even a nightmare and it was just too late. So I just finished it out the conversation. I said, I had a nightmare about Temple Run. Of all the things, Temple Run. I thought I was slick, right? Turns out that I actually care about Temple Run, because whenever I go to my grandma, she has Temple Run on her tablet, and I couldn't play Temple Run for, get this, for 5 years. For 5 years, my mom wouldn't let me play Temple Run. 5 years. Ridiculous. And I swear, during those 5 years, everybody and their dog was playing Temple Run except for me. And I couldn't play it because I lied about having a nightmare, which I didn't even have a nightmare. Oh, that makes me mad. But anyway, I say that wasn't just a random tangent. That's important because that's the context here. So when it comes to video games, my mom is already thinking in this department, like, okay, well, my son had a nightmare about this and da 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 da. And even though I told her multiple times that I lied to her, that I was wrong, that didn't happen, she wouldn't budge, and I didn't understand. I just didn't understand. So I knew I had no hope of her letting me play Fortnite. And I told Buddy Bro all the time, like, hey man, she won't let me. You can try talking to her, but it's not gonna work. And the same thing happened with Roblox. Roblox, let me tell you. Now I got lucky with Roblox because same situation, right? But even worse, because you really are interacting with people online. And so that is even more of an online safety concern, especially for her. And so I was like, now how are you gonna win this battle? You know, like there's just no way. Here's how we did it. At first, it was a matter of it was just no at first, right? It was just no. But then it was a matter of he let me play on his account at his house sometimes. And, you know, he had Robux. And so, you know, he had the cool skin and all that cool stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, this game is the best. And, you know, we were playing all the goated games of the old time. I would delve into them, but it's fine. So we were playing all those games and it was great. And then it evolved into a conversation with my mom. And this conversation went kind of well. It was a risky conversation, but it paid off in the end. I'm really glad we had this conversation. So basically here's what the agreement was. And it's been some years, so it's gonna be a little fuzzy. But basically, help me remember, bro. It was like I could only play games with Buddy Bro because he is like the master of online safety, and as long as we're together, everything's A-okay. Which I wasn't gonna argue with that because, hey, I get to play Roblox. And so whatever game that I wanted to play, I would have to make sure that he was playing as well. If I was playing a game by myself, I was exposed. And it was dangerous. And so, yeah. Now you see, anybody who's ever played Roblox understands that Roblox is not one game. It is a hub of games in which you have a bajillion types of games ranging from very, 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 very parent-friendly games. Ooh, pretty princess adopts me. Ooh, flashing lights and colors. Wee! And then you have the games that are okay, whatever. Jailbreak, flee the facility. I say okay in terms of like maturity, you know. Shark bait. And then you have some horror games, Doors, Piggy, etc. You have just like absurd games, you know. You just have a lot of stuff going on there, and so. I remember my biggest fear at the time was like my mom walking by while I was playing Roblox with Buddy Bro. And we were playing, we used to love this game. It's called Murder Mystery 2. Now, right off the bat, the title is enough to just discourage somebody, you know, murder. Oh, holy cow, murder. Oh heavens, I can't let you play a game starting with the word murder. Ugh. And it's the sequel? That means there was more murder previously? Oh, no. So, heavens to Betsy, I had to make sure that she didn't see me playing this game. But he loved this game, and I loved the game too. It was a fun game. We played it all the time. And so it was a lot of like hey, my mom's on the way. Let's play a very safe game that I know that if she sees me play, it's gonna be A-okay. Bars. But, yeah, so that was that for a while. It was a lot of that. Eventually, she stopped caring. I got older, and so that kind of added to it. I got older. She stopped caring as much. Nothing happened, and I never asked for Robux because I don't care. And I'm not a microtransaction guy, except for in Fortnite. But I kind of cut out with that because it's not necessary. But oh, and Smash Bros. I did get all the DLC characters. But anyway, I'm not generally a microtransaction type of guy. So, with that being said, it was Robux were never really a priority for me. So, Roblox was not a hassle for my parents or my family, so it kind of went under the radar. Understandably so. Now, what annoys me back then and now is like you would see a story on the news or whatever, makes you, it made me sick, would be like, local teen gets stolen all of their cash, or gets all their cash stolen, or their identities caught, or drug sellers through Snapchat, through TikTok, or through Roblox, kid gets kidnapped. All those stories about like something happening on a popular app, and then it's like, parents, make sure to watch your kids and see what they're doing and stuff. And I'm not hating on the message, because you should know what's happening, but it's like you're instilling paranoia at the same time. And not just in the general family, but in my mom. And so whenever something happened on the news, she'd be like, Chris, come here. Look at this. And then she'd show me on the TV. She'd be like, look at that poor boy. He got kidnapped because he was being stalked by a grown man on Roblox. And I'm like, yep, that happened. And I'd sit there like, this happens a lot of times in real life, Kidnapping has always been a thing, It used to be with trucks and candy, and now it's the Roblox, you can't escape it, you just can't escape it. It's just always going to be a thing in our society. That's what I wanted to say. Was I going to say that? No. Why? Because it's not going to work. It's not going to accomplish anything other than me losing Roblox privileges. So I just sat there, nodded, and walked away. But like nervous, because now my mom's on edge about Roblox, and it's like, ugh. But yeah, that was the cycle for a while, and it still is to this day. It's whatever website, program, social media, whatever. Same thing happens still, and it's not annoying. It's just awkward, I'll say, because it can happen to anybody, anywhere. And of course, you should practice safety and whatnot. But I mean, for me, I'm a safe guy. Like, obviously, you're preaching to the choir is what I'm trying to say. Like, you don't have to tell me twice. I get the message. But yeah. So that was a little thing. And eventually, the best part, she let me play Fortnite. And he was very happy about it. Buddy Bro was very happy about that. We play a lot of Fortnite together, which is why there were so many microtransactions with it, because it was a passion project for the two of us for years. I remember the day she let me finally play and set up the account and everything. And I was explaining how it's like not actually blood. You don't have to talk to people if you don't want to. And I don't talk to people because I don't want to. I just don't. I don't really play with strangers. I play against them, but not with them. And yeah. And now she doesn't care. Like it's all fine and dandy now. He and I, we don't play this Fortnite as much as we used to. I used to be the absolute task master when it came to Fortnite. I did all the tasks, did everything I possibly could to level up as fast as I could so that I could be at a higher level than him and be better. I mean, of course he was the better player, always has been. He's played so much longer than me. But like in terms of the numbers, I wanted to be higher. But yeah, that's that. That's that little fun story. And then lastly, the sad story which leads us into almost our present day, but not really. And I'm also going to wrap up this episode with the story because, again, I see that it's going on a little long and people's attention spans. But hey, you know what? It builds character. Learn to sit through a podcast. Now, as it's very obvious, and I've expressed a lot, we've grown up together. Crazy, right? Well, we've also grown up together in close proximity. His house was never far from mine. If I really, really, really wanted to, I could have always walked to his house. And that is such a privilege that I enjoyed having. It made sleepovers really easy and convenient because it was never like, ugh, I have to go all the way to Buddy Bro's house and I have to truck all the way back. It's gonna be 30 minutes. It was just like right around the corner. And so it was just very easy. Hey, can you drop off so-and-so? Yeah, here, come over. You know, it was very nice. And same thing with his grandparents. His grandparents lived like 1 block away. So it was like 1 block away from his house. So it was just go to his house and then plus 1 more step. You know, it was all very close by, not inconvenient much. It was great. Well, after middle school, he had to move. And he didn't move houses. Well, he certainly did. But he wasn't just moving houses across the neighborhood or whatever. He moved states. He's an entirely different state. So, that sucked. Cause what happened? You know, that's my bro. You know, we do everything together. We go through school together. We talk to people. We go through the problems together. We had classes together. In middle school, I'm telling you, in middle school, we actually did finally get put in the same class. And so we had literally class together. And it was great. It was fun. It was ugh. And he's gone. And he's gone. And it was hard. It was very hard that summer. Seeing him drive off to a new state. That sucked. That certainly sucked. And I think what sucked more was the first day of school, my freshman year. And knowing that, number one, I have no friends in this place. Well, I had some acquaintances because I was doing cross country. And that started conditioning in the summer. So I knew some people, but like I didn't have any solid hardcore friends like I did previously, which happens when you shift schools. But it was felt even more. None of my people from my class before went to my school at the time, so it was just kind of like, yikes, you know? I'm completely in new territory with nothing familiar. And I didn't even have my best friend with me. I couldn't go to his house after and talk about it. I couldn't do any of that. It was just, you're on your own, and so was he. Shoot, what made it worse that his whole school schedule was different from mine, so he started school at a different time, and anyway. But yeah, that was hard. But before he left, we spent one final day together. It was a long day at Kings Island, from sunup to sundown. It wasn't sunup, but it was essentially from open to close. And at Kings Island, I've been to Kings Island a few times, but like I was so young, I didn't even count it. I didn't remember it. And if I don't remember something, I don't count it as an experience because I don't remember the experience. That's how I see the world. But yeah, so we went to Kings Island. Now again, as I said before, I like the physical stuff. It's fun to experience the thrill and the joy and the adrenaline and all that good stuff. It's cool. But I wasn't ready for that day because he and we set out to do everything on that. We did everything. Absolutely every ride possible at Kings Island. And I had never ridden. Well, frankly, we'll just say I start from scratch because I don't remember anything. So we'll say all of it was new and fresh for me. We worked our way up from the smallest rides. Our first one was like I forgot what it was called, but it was like a roller coaster. And it had like a fire to it, and it was like a movie action themed roller coaster. I forgot what it was called. Ugh. If only I had notes so that I would know in advance and then I don't have to struggle like this. But regardless, we went to that roller coaster. Pretty simple, basic roller coaster. It wasn't too crazy. It was fast, but it wasn't like ridiculous. It had a dark section. That kind of caught me off guard, but it wasn't too bad. And yeah, fire, real fire. They shot real fire at you. It was really cool. It wasn't at you, but it was in your proximity. Really close enough you can feel the flames. But yeah, that was fun. And then our next ride was the Feared Fathom. Nope, that's not what it's called. Flight of Passage, Flight of Fear. There we go. Flight of Passage. What is Flight of Passage? No, that's the thing at Disney. Yeah, Flight of Fear. There we go. Yeah, the Flight of Fear. It's underground ride. It's dark. That was our second ride. That ride gave me whiplash. I didn't hate it. I loved it up until the end when I got whiplash. So, yeah, that was a good ride. And then next to the Flight of Fear was the Orion. Dun dun dun. Now, the Orion is a record-setting ride. It was, I think, one of the fastest speeds off the drop, the first drop. It has also one of the highest drops. I don't know, something about the first drop. The first drop sets a record for something. So, good job, Orion. Woohoo! Yeah, no, I didn't want to do that at all. He wanted to, of course, because we're writing everything, and I knew we were going to eventually, but we were, again, working our way up to it. And so we did, after the Flight of Fear, we did the Banshee. I loved the Banshee, because by then I was warmed up mentally. Now, we were not doing the drop tower. Heck no. We were not doing the drop tower, but we did the Banshee. We did something else. We did, I don't remember, but we did something else. We just did a bunch of rides. After a bunch of, and then we did the Racer. After the Banshee, we did the Racer, and the Beast, and something else. Son of Beast, probably. I hated the wooden rides. Ugh, hated the wooden rides. Mystic Timbers, which, side note, from riding Mystic Timbers, I learned the song Man-Eater. Whoa, here she comes. Can I sing? Am I allowed to sing and not copyright? I don't know. I'm not gonna worry about it. But it's like, whoa, here she comes. Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up. Whoa, here she comes. She's a man-eater. I learned that song from Mystic Timbers. It's pretty cool. And then finally we got to the big boys, the Orion and the Diamondback. We did the Orion first. Now, again, for context, like I said, I like the thrills and stuff. But I do not have the experience of roller coasters under my belt at the time. Roller coasters to me were like I'll do one roller coaster and then I'm done for the month. Like, that was me. I didn't have the motion sickness for it. I got sick. My brain wasn't prepared. I was just terrible at roller coasters. So that whole day was a trip for me. And the Orion was the scariest thing on the planet. After every single ride, not after, during, on the first drop of every single ride, my body would get so scared and afraid that it would like tense up and I would stop breathing on the first drop. Not on purpose, but out of fear. Out of pure fear, I would stop breathing. And I would tell them, like, guys, how do you not suffocate? And they'd be like, bro, just breathe. And I was like, oh, thank heavens. Why didn't I think of that? Well, yeah, whatever. So I was having a hard time. And I knew on this Orion, which I'm also scared of heights, one of the highest rides at the entire park, I was going up there, going up on the ascent. I wanted to start crying. I looked out to my right and left. I saw just how high we were. Holy cow. I prayed. I probably peed. I don't know. I did all the things. My body was just doing whatever it took to survive. I don't know. I didn't pee. That was a joke. But, whew, that first drop, I remember the feeling of fear. I'm feeling it right now, actually. My adrenaline's kicking in. We went over the drop. Oh, I opened my eyes and looked down as we were going over, and I just saw how high we were and how we were falling. And it was a long fall, I tell you. It was a long fall. We were still falling. It was terrible. It was just, And then the rest of the ride wasn't that bad in retrospect, but it was just that first drop. Took me out every single time. Ugh. He was enjoying himself. And, yeah, yippee-ki-yay. But no siree, no, nay, I say. That first drop took me out. And then he had the audacity to go, all right, on to the Diamondback. The Diamondback? I look at the Diamondback. First of all, it's called the Diamondback. It curls in on itself. What a terrible thing. This is a terrible ride. Terrible. It's evil. My opinion, the Diamondback is worse than the Orion, right? That's just my opinion. In terms of not worse like it's a bad ride, but worse as in it's more intense than the Orion. So I'm going up on the Orion, right? We had fast passes, by the way, because it was our last day together, so we got to enjoy it to the fullest. And we were going up on the Diamondback. I was crying. I felt the tears in my eyes. We were going so high. We were going so high. We were going so high. And we were going high very slow. Heck no. Two bad things. You don't combine slowness with height. So we were going up. Now this one I actually did almost pass out on. Like all of them, yeah, I was trying to catch my breath because I kind of was suffocating for a second, but like this one I actually got really close. Because when we dropped down and went in for a second, yeah, my body was like, woo! Yeah, I legitimately could not breathe. I legit almost passed out. Rest of the ride, didn't even get better. It was still very intense, very horrifying. I remember gut screaming the entire time, screaming from my core, fear, I'm gonna die, flight or fight, but I couldn't fight, so it was just pure horror and terror, and it was just bad. It was just terrible. And then the ride ended, and it was just over, and I was like, oh, thank heaven it's over, and I was done. Or was I? Because I went back and rode the Orion again, and I was okay now. Because after the Diamondback, you're warmed up. You're warmed up. Your body is warmed up and ready to go. At least so I believed. I didn't throw up or anything. But, my body just, it was done. It was done. It was done. Yeah. I couldn't handle enough. I couldn't handle all the motion sickness. And so it was time for me to wrap things up. I did ride the Invertigo with him. Now, another side note, on my most recent trip to Kings Island, the Invertigo kicked my butt. It kicked my butt. I was placed in the front or the back. It depends on which way the ride's going, because it goes front and back. I was placed on the end, I'll say. Oh, that was terrible. And it was raining too. So the rainwater hurt. It hurt my face because I was zooming into it. And it wasn't like a light sprinkle. It was raining. And I was in the very front, so I had no idea what was happening. And because it was raining, my eyes were closed. And so my body was just kind of moving around left to right and central without me knowing what's happening, because my eyes were kind of squinting closed because of the water, and it burned. And it was just nauseating. And then we went backwards, and I couldn't see what was happening. Terrible experience. But going back to the story, on the first time I rode it, which is with him, it was a good time. I was placed in the middle, so I had some time to prepare. It was a nice sunny day. It wasn't raining at all, so my eyes were wide open and I could see everything just fine and dandy. And so it was a good ride. I liked it. It was pretty lame, actually. I remember feeling that way. I remember feeling not as excited as I thought I wanted to feel, because I wanted more thrill at this point in the day. But it was a good last day. It was a good last day with him. And even still to this day, we're still in contact. As I said earlier, we played Smash Bros earlier today as of this recording. And it's different. It's hard. It was hard. But, we adjust, we manage, and we stay in contact. We know we love each other platonically. And, yeah, I'm sure when we grow up and, get our own places and stuff, we'll, probably play Smash Bros in person again. And we still visit during the summers and whatnot, and, we see each other. Last time he came over to visit, we were working out together. We would wake up and go on runs around the neighborhood. And running is a lot easier with somebody else. Let me tell you, running is a lot easier when you have someone with you and they're also motivated to run. When you're running with somebody who's not motivated, it's hard because you have to slow down for them, which sounds easy, but it kills your flow. And when you have someone who's like actually like, whoa, let's run, yeah, let's go, boom, 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 then everything's easier. So yeah, before I end this episode, just want to say thank you, man. Thank you for all that you've done over our lives, because we've pretty much grown up together. Happy belated birthday. Very belated birthday. About a month and some change. It's not the first time I've been this late with a birthday present, but that's unrelated. Those who know. Yeah. But yeah, just thank you, man. Thank you, man. And I look forward to another year of awesomeness. And yeah. And to everyone else who has no idea who this guy is, I hope you enjoyed this episode and my stories about our time together and the greatness surrounding our relationship. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. I hope that you were entertained and that it was a rather chill episode. I would say chill in terms of like nothing that you had to really think about too hard about. It's a good little fun, passionate thing. And I'm really glad that I got this episode out. So with that being said, I'm gonna stop you right there. I forgot about the fun fact. Fun fact. Let's see. I literally knew a fun fact yesterday. I literally had a fun fact. Did you know that water bears, which are like little not molecular, but like they're like little things that like they're like the size of bacteria and stuff. They can survive in really extreme conditions. They survive in like underwater pressure. They can survive in like volcanic pressure and heat and stuff. Theoretically, they could probably survive in space. They're very resilient creatures, and they're not actually bears, but they look like little clear plastic bears. And like you have to see them with a microscope. They're really cute. You should look them up. Yeah. So with that being said, for real this time, a toodaloo, a buckaroo.